we already got some problems. Hey, good friends, guess what? We got a great local bulk produce deal. We got 25-pound boxes of tomatoes, that half bushels of tomatoes, for only $4.99 per half bushel. That was phenomenal. We bought 250 pounds of tomatoes. Once I cleaned them and picked through them and such, we had about 225 pounds, which is still over 4 bushels of tomatoes. And today we are starting the process and getting so many big batch tomatoes home processed and canned. Let's go. Would you believe this, good friends? Look. It's early. It's early in the morning, and we have all of these tomatoes that we got super discounted from my local Jamerrill store. The night before, I washed these and got them ready to start the cooking process. Now, I could have started cooking them the night before, but I just thought, you know what? I'm tired. They're washed. They're ready to go. And first thing in the morning, when my morning coffee starts hitting right, we will get all of these discount tomatoes going in my 3 over 20 quart each roaster ovens. And look at us. We are starting the 2025 tomato, homemade from scratch tomato sauce making process, and we're canning. Who are we? I have loved the comments from so many of you in my recent video where we bought these tomatoes at John Henry, and then we came home and we washed and prepped these. And we also, hey, why not? We big batch meal prep some sheet pan breakfast for the coming days as well. I'll be sure to link that video down in the description for you. And so many of you in the comments of that video were saying wonderful things like, I'm ready for the tomato canning marathon and the tomato-thon, and I am ready to conquer tomato canning with you in 2025, Jamerrill. And that is so awesome because, in 2023, we big batch canned, we processed over 380 pounds of tomatoes. 200 pounds of that big tomato canning in 2023 were tomatoes that I grew and froze from my 2022 garden, and spring 2023 we canned them. And that video is still in my top 10. I think it's like my 7th biggest video of all time. You all just loved going on that journey with me. Then summer 2023, we know my country song, My Life Imploded. Who knew it? And I have been working to pull all of life together in this new universe ever since. I was so very hopeful in summer 2024 into fall 2024 that I would be able to big batch can again, a little over a year later. We got a good deal on bulk local produce tomatoes from the John Henry General Store. My van even broke down while I was driving them home. It needed a new starter, but we worked that out as well. That was the alternator. Okay, yes, on my to-do list of life. The alternator went out. But that's okay. We got a tow. We made it home with our tomatoes in tow, haha. And I put those tomatoes in the freezer because I knew they were such a good deal and I wouldn't be able to can them for probably 4 to 6 weeks. I'm pretty sure I got them in August. And I took them out and we started the cooking process. I just have a list of things that come up, or even things I plan. And they just affect my body in different ways, and it takes me a little longer than I think. I ended up having a big thing that affected me for many extra weeks in fall 2024. I did start my tomato cooking process, but with my extra things I was juggling and working on my own healing, couldn't quite pull it off. It got away from me. And at some point I was just like, you know what? This isn't happening. This is the best I can do, and it's still not enough, and that's okay. So I took the time I needed to heal from that fall situation, work through that, process that. Lots of steps, lots of walking involved. And now this year, 2025, not only did we buy discount tomatoes again, on this day, you're canning with me, we got everything out. We got our tomatoes and our roasters. And I was so hopeful on this day. I was thinking, you know what? We might actually be able to do this project start to finish over about 2 or 3 days. Life is in a pretty calm and peaceful flow at the moment, and I looked at my schedule for this week and I just thought, yeah, I can give 3 days to this. If it takes 3 days, I can give it 3 days. Okay, so our tomatoes are cooking down, and I just keep adding on to the tops other tomatoes as we go. So I might only be able to get a few more on here. I'm gonna actually put on my weighted vest. Hey, let's get some color. Let's do some yellow. I'm gonna put on my weighted vest and go start my morning walking. But we got these going about 6:30 this morning. And I am proud of us because we are doing it. I am going to check the John Henry General Store Facebook page this morning, and if they have grown some Roma Canyon tomatoes overnight, we'll go get more. Because once I get, we get the equipment set up and we're doing this, let's keep rolling. It might not happen though. We might only get to process 225 pounds. And we still got Mama Crazy Morning Hair Crazy glasses. But I was reading through the National Center for Food Preservation. I think, don't quote me on this, we'll check the numbers here shortly. I think like 54 pounds is a bushel. So we are processing over 4 bushels of tomatoes. Let's go. Let's go to our data points. Hold on here. I know I saw this. Okay, a bushel weighs 53 pounds and yields 10 to 12 quarts of sauce, an average of 5 pounds per quart. That's for a thin sauce. For a thick sauce, which the first time we did this in 2023, Good Morning Refrigerator is going to talk to us, we ended up with 57 quarts. Pretty okay. So for thick sauce, a bushel weighs a bushel weighs what it weighs, but I don't have 53 pounds memorized. Okay. Still pretty close with 54 though. I'm proud of us. A bushel weighs 53 pounds and yields 7 to 9 quarts of sauce, an average of 6.5 pounds per quart. I'm gonna try to go for a thinner sauce, but it might be thick, and we're still doing it. I do need to have Walmart grocery delivery bring me some lemon juice. Here's what we're going by. Just the National Center for Home Food Preservation through the University of Georgia, and their tomato sauce, standard tomato sauce canning. And their times, I have a boiling water canner we'll use, but we'll also use the pressure canner. I'll use it with my weighted canner. So we'll get into all of this throughout the day. Coming back in from a walk-in time, just gonna check in on these and add what more tomatoes I can. I think this one can fit a few more in it. Back in for another check-in. I think we can probably add 2 or 3 more to this. And I did work with my ball. This is that Fresh Tech Pro. It's a sauce maker. I worked with that and it still works. It's been 2 years. So glad to know I turn it on and it makes noises. So that is pretty hopeful. I did check John Henry General Store's ad today, and they don't have canyon tomatoes this morning. They have yellow tomatoes for $2.99 a pound. But yesterday, you're gonna keep hearing about it, they had Romas, 50-pound boxes for $29. And by the time I got there in the afternoon, all they had, but I'm so thankful, they had these second, like spotty tomatoes, not potatoes. Okay, they had these. They were marked down 25-pound cases for $4.99. So of course they are spotty. I bought 250 pounds and we got to keep about 225 of that, which for $4.99 per box, that was great. We'll check in on this batch. You can probably get a few more there. We're gonna continue to just cook down the sauce. My goal for today, if I can do it, is to cook down all the tomatoes that we have, which we're doing it. We had 3 30-quart bowls full plus another bowl, and now I've got about 1.5 of those big bowls left. So my goal is cook them down, put them through the sauce maker, make our sauce. I don't know that we will actually start canning on this day 1. Canning might be tomorrow, day 2, but you're gonna be here for the whole start to finish adventure. And before, you know, the one other time in 2023 when we canned sauce, I was working with frozen tomatoes, and so that was a thing. This year we are not working with frozen tomatoes, so just saying maybe they'll cook down faster, or there'll be some differences that we notice, but it'll all work out. And I have made no moves to get further ready for today, but I'm still walking, still getting some stuff done outside and checking in on these tomatoes. But it just clicked because, you know, almost 10 a.m. we started this project earlier this morning. I need to get at least my 30-quart pot going, maybe a 20-quart pot. We could get some other tomatoes cooking down some other ways. That brain cell just fired. So we're gonna put the 30-quart pot here on the stove and get those tomatoes cooking down. I'm gonna get some other pots going as well. And I'm going to continue my walking outside while my kids play in my weighted vest, because that's my idea of a good time. I don't run in it. I do try to walk a mile or so in it most days. It's not 7 days in a row, but I usually hit that 4 or 5 mornings out of 7. And that's a pretty good goal for my bones and my skeletal system. And, you know, we talk about health and fitness and healing our bodies and all those things over here on my channel, along with all this home canning and food preservation and just all these things that we do, right? So now I'm getting a 16-quart pot going. We got that at IKEA so many years ago. I'm also getting a 20-quart pot going. I'd love to go back to IKEA at some point in the future. I have several IKEA videos. What did we do? Maybe 3 or 4 of them or so. That's a fun place to visit. My kids like to eat there. It's been a bit. Maybe we'll take a day, I don't know, in 2026 and go up there and look around and see what's new at IKEA. That might be fun. I don't think I'll do that in 2025, but look what I am doing, right? We're having our canning tomato extravaganza. We're getting this done, and I can tell you from the future, we accomplished this goal, okay? Doesn't go exactly how I think, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I am proud of us. It makes me want to get our chicken carcasses and our beef bones also roasted and get those made into broth and can those in the coming weeks. I do not have that on my schedule yet, but I do want to analyze the cooking slots I have and how I do just try to see, just like with these tomato cannings, when do I have the time I have to babysit the roasters and keep an eye on them and go through that broth canning process. But I was sick here recently, basically the first 8 days of August. Yay, happy 46th birthday, Jamerrill. And I drank so many quarts of my home canned tomato broth. It was so very, very good. I loved it. And of course, I do use broth for cooking and such as well, but even just drinking the broth is delicious. So I've got that bowl to the point where I can lift it. Sometimes I have to have my growing guys, like 6'2" and stuff guys, lift my bowls for me. But I could lift that one, and I'm getting the 3rd pot going on the stove. And so between doing my laps inside and having things cooking in the kitchen, I'm continuing to do my laps and get my steps going this morning while I keep an eye on all these tomatoes cooking down. Alrighty, so we got these going. Honestly, I probably could have not done that pot and just used that. That finished out our 3rd 30-quart bowl though of tomatoes. I probably just could have used those as filler tomatoes as these pots cook down and as the roasters cook down. But that's okay. I want to get this project moving, right? Alrighty, I've been outside walking and doing other things, came back in to check in on these, and you see these are starting to cook down because our lid was popping off. This lid was popping off. They're starting to cook down. I went ahead and even added water to these pots. Again, when I have, in my one other time of doing tomatoes start to finish, those were frozen. I had saved them. I believe about 150, 200 pounds were from my garden from 2022 and 2023. Saved those, plus some John Henry deals. And so I didn't add the water because we had melting tomatoes. So this is my first time doing it with tomatoes fresh from the box and washed. and it just seemed like skins might burn on the bottom, so that's why I added that water. Checking in. Yep, those are doing their thing. Now, I don't know. I know in the past, also with my frozen tomatoes, I've overflowed my roasters. Like I would start having juice drip down. So I might actually have to pull some of the liquid off and or let them cook with the lids off a little bit. Yet to be seen. I guess we're gonna figure it out. These towels were me cleaning up some spills this morning. Well, there you go. This roaster lid was actually a little cracked and the liquid is substantially less. So maybe I'll put that lid on, and since this one is doing things, maybe I'll just let some of that steam come out. This one, woo, yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna leave this lid off for a few minutes. It's already, we're already dripping there. We already got some problems. So as I like to say, I'm the problem, it's me. Leave that lid off a little bit, see what happens. And I'm gonna get my other fan going in here, just because this kitchen's gonna be super busy today. So I have been here pulling off some of this liquid. It was leaking out the sides. So I am just pulling it off. And I know in, well, our one other experience, when we canned these in 2023, I know I also canned the tomato juice. Don't think I'm going to can tomato juice as well. My big goal is let's get sauce done in 2025, right? And then we need to move on to doing processing the chicken carcasses and the beef bones. We probably have over 100 quarts of broth there waiting for us, which is amazing. So I just drink that stuff like a nice warm hot beverage too, besides using it for cooking. All right, so tomatoes. We've been cooking the tomatoes. I turned them off a little bit ago. Now we're gonna run it through this Fresh Tech. It's by Ball. It's a sauce maker. I haven't used it since 2023. I remember it being pretty easy. I remember one of my friends came over when I did, again, all that first time tomato canning. We put the tomatoes in there. It de-seeded it, took the skins out, spit. You probably can't see it. You're gonna see this in a minute. Let's get it set up. And we had it, and I'm just going around. I need new washcloths out apparently. Going around, getting things wiped up while I can. I think now, if I remember correctly, I think the seeds and the skin come out this way. And this is where the remaining sauce comes out. We're gonna figure it out. I'm just looking at bowl height. Okay, so we'll do sensible amounts. Since my big pots right now and the roasters are full, we'll do a great many things. We'll probably do several bowls and then dump the sauce back into the roasters, start heating it up again through there. And I want to get canning jars in the dishwashers. I just had one of my folks unload the dishwashers, and we'll get those going. I got Walmart grocery delivery, brought me the lemon juice. Thank you, Walmart. I also got stuff for a fire pit tonight, so priorities. And so let's get going. Is spinning on me, and that's not great. So I've got what looks like juice over here. Okay, I think I've got this backwards. This is the sauce side. Okay, Got to get my containers. I might even have to set this on something. We'll figure it out. We'll work through it. There will be a workflow. We will find it. Okay. Last time we had it set up like this. Can that fit? No. Shoot. Not what I would want to do, but this will fit. I do not remember what we used her for. And I'm living it, so I'm not watching the video again right now. I had started watching through it. Okay. All right. Now we'll get rolling. And it's always nice for me to be sensible, Jamerrill, and to think ahead when I can and not let something spill. We're just going to dump that sauce out and put our platter down. It was funny for me trying to figure out now what dish could I put here to catch the sauce. But those Pioneer Woman deep dish 9x13, that works just fine. I just, every couple batches here, I do need to take that and dump it into a different bowl. But we are doing it. I don't yet have a roaster clear to start dumping the sauce back in the roaster to let it begin cooking down. But that is okay, and we are just going to push the tomatoes through. I just am really, really happy with this sauce maker. That's okay. Like you know, around here, things can be a little bumpy in the kitchen when we're working, getting projects going, but then we get our rhythm and we get our systems in place. So I've got the first few tomatoes going through, and I'm just seeing how my ball sauce maker works again. And the tomatoes are pretty soft. And we're using a little bowl there to catch any extra drippings. And I leave it on, and then the tomatoes are so soft, I just smush them down. Now, I could have used the sauce maker with fresh tomatoes that were not cooked through yet, but in that situation, I would need to cut through each and every tomato. And we have over 4 bushels here, we got 225 pounds, so it just was not feasible for me to cut through that many tomatoes when I could just let them cook for the morning and get going with our sauce. And I am proud of us for on day 1 of the marathon tomato canning, massive food preservation, we're getting our sauce going. It seemed like when I did this the first time in 2023, it took a while. It took, maybe it was the first day or into the second day before I actually got making the sauce. And on this day, we got those tomatoes cooking in the morning, and by afternoon here, we're getting our sauce making. At different points, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll actually start the canning later this afternoon. And at other times I'm thinking, okay, I think I'm going to get this sauce made, and then tomorrow morning we'll start fresh and get everything canning from there. And here we have our beautiful sauce coming out. I am just so happy with this process. The seeds and the skins are coming out the end of the sauce maker there. The tomatoes are pressing through easily. I mean, how about we just have an easy peasy lemon squeezy canning experience? I like that. That's my idea of a good time. I'm also using some yellow tomatoes that were in the boxes. When I canned tomato sauce the first time, it was a hodgepodge, total variety of tomatoes. And I had read that that can give the sauce a really nice flavor, and it worked great for me. I think the first time we canned maybe 57 quarts or so. So I've done it with Romas and Amish paste tomatoes, variety of heritage tomatoes, orange tomatoes, the heritage green tomatoes, yellow tomatoes, of course, red tomatoes. That is when I did my 2023 sauce. This year, we're using mostly these local tomatoes, but like I say, a few little yellow ones popping up in there, and that's nice as well. I probably need to not get too ahead of myself and dump this out. sprinkles around. Just trying to clear out the little bit that's in there before I move it for the sauce. I'll get a wooden spoon. It's pretty good. Almost done with this roaster, so in theory how this should work is this sauce can go in the roaster and then start cooking some more and thickening up a bit. And thank you all for all the love and the support that you have given me while my friends have helped me clean up the dilapidated parts of my property. I've showed in some recent videos. We've got our trees that have fallen down cleaned up. We had a lot of fencing we installed a few years ago that just has needed maintenance, that has fallen down. Trees have fallen on many parts of the area. So many parts that were a mess and just making me feel bad because they were 10 to 15 feet tall and overgrown and I couldn't access them. And these friends came and helped me out, and I also gave them some equipment and things that I haven't been able to use the last 2 years. So we're all helping each other out, and I'm really happy with how the property is cleaning up and looking. They are going to come back and do some more things with me here soon, but that's all. It's all really nice, and it feels good to get those things done and be able to have more place for the kids to play and also not having, wire fencing hanging down around. Pretty okay. I just have a little bit of like juice liquid in there, but there's seeds and things. I don't want to pour it into a big bowl. I've got to run around the kitchen. Okay. I want to pour that into this bowl so I can pour it through here so I can, the whole workflow, get this sauce back in this roaster pan. And I'll probably just scoop that with a smaller bowl too. Stick with me, it's gonna work out, it'll be okay. Pour that in there. Okay, and I'm gonna put this here in a moment. This will be, there's my little timer, yes. I'm gonna set my timer for another hour. I'm hoping that within an hour of trucking through this, real time, not video time, that we'll have all this, we'll have everything processed and everything cooking and the sauce going. This at least has seeds out of it. And then my plan is, while the sauce goes, we will get jars going to the dishwasher. I got both dishwashers clear, sink full of dirty dishes, but I said hold off on that. And I'm just like spot cleaning here for a minute. Okay, so we have that now. Perfect world, another day in time. These skins and seeds can be dehydrated, put through the freeze dryer, ground into a powder. We did that last time with those. That's not the season of life that I'm in. I'm making homemade, versatile, basic tomato sauce. That's it. Just like all of those big cans that we got of that organic, basic, plain tomato sauce, at Sharp Shopper, and I was so thrilled with that. And I've got about 4 or 5 of those left. I think we got 12. And so we will finish that, and then we will use our homemade basic tomato sauce for all kinds of things in the coming months. And I'm proud of us for getting this done. What I'll probably do is switch out my roasters. I'll put this roaster over there and bring that roaster over here so we can start another round of sauce. Putting that in this. This is, well, of course we're gonna cook it down and let it cook off some. I don't know that I want to pour all that in there to do that. See if I can gently do this. Getting things done, look at us. Okay. Okay. And I know that's dented and I keep an eye on it and still use it. Okay, again, I'm not sure what I'm doing with that. And I want my dish. I guess maybe, I will use this over here for my not sure yet items. I may need to just add that into some sauce. I don't know. Don't know. And the Blendtec directions was I could even just put fresh tomatoes in there. The difference would be I would then have to go through, and again, I just think workflows, I have to go through the process of quartering all the tomatoes. You don't need to core them because this cores them, de-seeds them, and removes the skin, but I would have to go through, cutting through 4.5 bushels of tomatoes. So in my mind, since the first time I did this, I worked with frozen tomatoes, I thought, well, I'll cook them, and then I don't have to go through and cut them, and then I'll just spoon them into the sauce maker here. The refrigerator's going to talk to us now, and then they're already cooked through, and then I will turn the heat back on and continue cooking through the sauce. So that was some good thinking process. We're just continuing right along. I don't end up adding that extra liquid back into the sauce, but we do let the sauce cook and cook down a decent amount before we start the canning process. Right now, at this point, I am still we're on the second roaster oven now. So I'm putting the tomatoes in there and I am pushing them down the little spout. It's just miracle of miracles. I could find my sauce maker and all of my equipment. I do have 3 canning cabinets with canning supplies, and it was in there waiting for me. I feel like they're hard to find. I will link one for you down below if I'm able to find one. And so now it's just the process of continuing to work through and squish these tomatoes down. And I am following the very basic tomato sauce canning directions from the National Center for Food Preservation. I will link those directions down for you below. And I'm following the basic tomato sauce I'm using no seasonings. I do use some salt when we get to the canning process. I'll use lemon juice and salt. We're not there yet, so you'll see that coming. I don't go through and add meat or add other seasonings at this time. I'm just keeping it simple so I can do a variety of recipes and uses for this tomato sauce over the coming months. Now, with all the quarts that we get, I love to say a year's worth of tomato sauce for my family of 10. It doesn't necessarily mean this will be a year's worth, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be a year to 18 months. We'll have to all stick around and find out. I know my 57 quarts that I canned in 2023, I feel like I used that within a year. So we will see how long this lasts us. It's very hard to tell when feeding a large group of people. I use my tomato sauce, and in the past I've used it to do a variety of freezer meals. And I love tomato sauce, just like whenever I got the organic tomato sauce deal from Sharp Shopper. It was such a great deal. It was like the 108-ounce cans, and I think it was $1.99 a can. And so I bought about 12 cans, and I think we have maybe 4 of those left, and that was just a couple months ago. So we definitely use tomato sauce around here, and it's a fun project to home can it ourselves. Decide which way I want to go. Making it happen. Lift with the knees. I'll switch out with my other roaster over there. And I believe what happened in 23 is as it cooked down, I eventually condensed pots. And you can see we still have some birthday sunflower ribbons hanging down, along with fly strips and fry strips. Fly strips, country summer. Yes, I did recently get some of those pest catching boxes that go in the outlet that you all told me about. I think you call them Vivo flying insect traps. I got 4 of the ones that go in the outlet, and I also got 2 additional packs of the refills. So we'll see. I'm going to test those out versus using my fly strips. I mean, that would be very nice if those work. And I don't have to have fly strips hanging in the summer. I've never had that kind of life upgrade living in the Shenandoah Valley all these years. All of my kitchens have always needed fly strips, and part of that is children running in and outside playing. And yeah, flies get in, and other little flying creatures, especially at night. I try to remember to turn off my under cabinet lighting at night, because if I don't, I have a whole lovely flying insect graveyard around the edges of my countertops in the morning. So we'll see how it goes. You will try those out with me. Several of you told me about those, and so I've ordered them from Walmart delivery. They should be here tomorrow, and I'm going to give them a go and see how they work out. Not tomorrow in the video, tomorrow when I'm recording this voiceover in the future. I know how the ending of this tomato sauce video works out, and I think you guys are going to be so very pleased. I did make a thinner sauce than in 2023. In 23, my sauce was very thick, not quite like a tomato paste, but it was a thick sauce. And so I would have to thin that out at different times when I would use it. And I would use chicken broth or beef broth in the recipe as well to thin it out. And so this time I was going for a thinner sauce for something different. And whenever I make my different recipes that require tomato sauce and I open the sauce and I'm cooking with it, I will add my seasonings and my meat to it at that time, depending on what we're making. I mean, we will at least make big batch spaghetti sauce, right? And do big batch lasagnas. I have a recipe I love for cabbage lasagna, palmini lasagna as well as gluten-free and traditional lasagna. And then we have our baked ziti variations and soups, and so much we can do with some homemade from scratch tomato sauce in the coming months that will be absolutely delicious, and you guys will cook it up with me. And so here we're almost there. I'm on my 3rd roaster now. We almost have this third roaster processed, and then we also need to do the 3 pots on the stove. But I am proud of us, and we are doing it. Okay, got that full of tomatoes, but I also have a very, very full situation here. So quickly dumping this, we can do it. There we go. Okay, now we can continue. So now we are in the middle of scooping the tomatoes out of the different pots and putting those through the sauce maker. Several of you shared with me that you also cook your tomatoes in the oven on big pans. So that's another great idea to get your tomatoes and tomatoes cooking through as well if you like to do it this way. Okay, now we're going to be on to another pot, and I'll dump this in one of those roasters over there. Take a little towel, wipe it up a moment, and then we will scrub everything down well for it. Part of the fun. So we only spill a little. We're doing pretty good. We just continue as more sauce is done. I am combining it in the roasters as needed, and then we are stirring and we are letting things cook down. Here's another pot that we need to process, and I definitely take some scrubbing time coming up, but I try not to get too focused on that right now because, again, the big miracle of miracles is this is still day one. We woke up on this morning without any tomato sauce, and we are going to end this day with quarts and quarts and quarts of tomato sauce. Over 60 quarts will be cooking down in these roasters, and you'll see how many quarts we end up canning here coming up. And I just take this food strainer to pick out the tomatoes and the little pieces, and then we push them down through the sauce maker. And any extra liquid, like watery liquid, I'm not canning. This time, I'm not canning the tomato juice. In 2023, I not only canned the 57 quarts, I also home canned tomato juice because I saw them do that on Living Traditions Homestead. I thought that was a neat way. I watched their different tomato canning videos several times. And I also took the peels and the seeds, and I dehydrated those and ground those into a tomato powder that could be added to recipes as well. I'm not trying to do anything extra. Here in 2025, I'm just happy to be home processing and home canning tomatoes at all. Many of you also suggested I just can the tomatoes whole, and that is another good option for the future, and then we could just make our sauce as we need it. I am happy though, what does the trick here is this sauce maker. I have a hand crank one as well. We don't have to do the hand crank. We just put it through and sauce comes out, and it just feels like a miracle. All right, so we got one pot left that I need to put through the sauce maker. I'm gonna see if I can fit this into some of the other roasters. See how, okay, that one could take some of it. And then that one could take some of it. I don't know that it'll be a true half and half. We might save some of that for going in a pot on the stove. But here's how things are looking. And look at this, pouring it in, just losing a little. That's pretty good. Pretty good, and we love to say it's pretty okay. That's all we need to be, is pretty okay. That's one of my new mottos in life that I have really been walking out this past year or so. Indeed, everything's just got to be pretty okay. So now, I believe this is our last pot, and after that, we will have all of our sauce done. Who are we? And then we will continue to let the sauce cook down. And at this point in the afternoon, I'm thinking what I need to do is, instead of rolling right into canning it, I'm going to let my sauce cook down for a bit. And then we will probably go ahead and continue on with the actual canning process starting the next day. I do have some appointments out with my guys the next morning, some places we need to do and some things we need to do. But if the sauce is made and waiting for me, I think we can do this. It is feeling so good to get to the end of this sauce making. This was quite a bit of standing, but again, this is also easy peasy. I mean, yes, let me cook my tomatoes and put them through my sauce maker and have all the skins and seeds removed. I'm really 100% here for this. And we are doing it. We are getting there. This is just such a big thing off of my list to be able to do this again. I know you guys have canned some jams with me here in the last year. And we've also canned beef broth and chicken broth. I would love to get into doing some jar meals and some different soups and things. I'm going to take some time looking over on the National Center for Food Preservation site and just see, once we do this next big load of chicken broth and beef broth, what is next? What should we do next? Now, of course, here in the Shenandoah Valley, we're getting ready to come into apple season, and I haven't canned applesauce since probably 2022. I know we did a huge batch of many bushels then, because I remember feeding all those cores to my pigs and chickens. I even saved the apple skin scraps because I thought, hey, I'll make homemade apple cider vinegar. And so I've definitely had some things we've accomplished and some good intentions. And I'm just wondering, on this fall canning list, before I get, or I don't know, am I saying before I get to meals? Well, okay, hold the to-do list, right? We're going to process these tomatoes and make sauce. chicken broth and beef broth. I'll try to not say that again. I don't know. It could happen though. Some people like to joke that my videos are like a drinking game. Haha. Wait till, every time she says sharp shopper or anytime she says sheet pan dinners, pretty funny. But anyway, after the broth project, maybe it's apples by that point, right? End of September. Okay. Help me get a canning list together. Maybe, I'm not saying I'm definitely going to get 1 to 2 canning projects done a month. But what if I could, right? What if we can do this? I absolutely love home canning, and I will tell you all real soon here my journey with home canning, when and how I started, and what some of the first things were that I can. Let's clean up this mess first. So I just got a bath towel, and I think we need some new bath towels around here too. We need to go home items shopping, like blankets, sheets, towels. We did the big thing of getting fresh kitchen towels and kitchen washcloths this summer in like the last 3 or 4 years. I just feel like all of my towels need, yes, we need some freshening up, okay? So also put that on our fall list. Things we need to do. We need to get fresh home goods. Okay, sauce. The sauce is the boss, right? We've got 60-ish quarts of homemade, just basic tomato sauce going. This little bit left in that bowl, which I was hoping they'll cook down some, and I'll pour some of this, but that's been the tomato canning project. It was 4.5 bushels. Hey, look, we meal prepped, right? And there's the dishes to show Mama's project. But let's get out of the kitchen. Yes, this fresh tech from Ball sauce maker needs taken apart, but whatever. Fire pit's ready, hot dogs are ready, hot dog buns delivered, brisk tea delivered, all the fun things, so fire pit time. Just wanted to show you what the sauce maker looks like, all taken apart, and we've got a whole pile of dishes that is about to go down. So I'm just gonna get all these pieces soaking, and I will handle this one. Alrighty, happy new day, friends. We have sauce, we have jars, although I'm gonna run them through the dishwasher. We've got unused canning lids. We've got some things to work with. I'm proud of us. I've been out on many adventures with my 3 younger guys today, but we are home. Hold on, a few dishwasher things happening here. We are home. I am proud of us. And now let's get these jars going. I'll show you the sauce. It's very nice. Of course, across 3 roasters, as if they were full to the top. There would be a little over 20 quarts of sauce in each roaster. I think they're 22-ish quart roasters. Anyway, things of course have cooked down. And so my guess, I'm thinking we're gonna get about 48 quarts of sauce. We'll see. We'll see at the end. I don't know, you don't know, but I don't know, but we're about to find out. So I'm going to get these just hot in the dishwasher. Whenever we have done other canning with these jars and then they were washed, my folks saved the lids, which is precious, precious. Now I will save lids and reuse them as far as if I have something else I'm later reusing the jar for, but I'm not going to reuse them for canning. So anyway, we are gonna get these hot. I was about to start a little bit ago, and then I had one of my folks here making strawberry smoothies again. So didn't want to get in the middle of that. Many of these are regular mouth jars, which is fine. There will be a lot of discussion, perfect world, if everything could be wide mouth. It can be easier to pour the sauce in, but I've also used a lot of regular mouth because I didn't always have wide mouth jars. And I think out of these cases that have been brought up from my basement, I'm only seeing 4 that are wide mouth, and I've done 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can use those. I'm like, am I going to use those or not? I have regular mouth lids here. So that's why I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know. I'm sure I have a box of wide mouth lids here somewhere. but let's just see. If I could have him switching up for regular mouth, that would be better than not getting it done at all, right? That's how I look at everything. I'm like, hey, we're doing it. I just talked to a friend of mine from out of state, and I was telling her we're talking tomato deals, and she said, oh my goodness, I believe she paid $39 or $38 for half a bushel of tomatoes. So she was so amazed that I was getting half bushel boxes for $4.99 a box, even though they were the spotty seconds, little dust in that box there. They were still a good deal, very good deal. Okay, regular. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna put regular mouth jars in here, and I wonder if that's kind of pretty close to how many we're gonna get. Because it looks like, you know, we're asking a lot of my dishwasher anyway. Pretty good. Okay, we'll go from there. All right, so I'm going to set up my workflow areas here. Just looking for some teaspoons, and you know I'm rich now because I got new measuring spoons and such. Okay, teaspoon there. Might need another teaspoon for something else. Taking them off the rings, I know that's dangerous. That's the first step of going wrong, right? But sauce is hot. I'm so proud of us. Had a bunch of canning stuff in the canning box, in the canning cabinets. I mean, who are we? I've done pretty good for about 3 years not getting that box wet. I think, let's see here, I remember, I think I threw away my one. This one is missing the little grabber ones. This one probably needs to go. One of them I had at some point was loose. I think I got rid of that one too. Those look okay. This one I'm gonna wait to make decisions on. I did find more wide mouth lids. Good, good. We got lemon juice. Big thing I've got to look into is salt. Alrighty, so one of my guys just came in here to get some of that barbecue chicken that we meal prepped last weekend. And today is Wednesday, and I think after tonight, the last of that food we prepped Saturday and Sunday. I think we're coming to the end of it. So he moved these over for me. We have our spigot there to fill them, but I have not actually opened these since last winter. So, pretty good. Okay. And you're doing good. Our weight is in there. So many things. We do pretty good on so many things. And then we got our 2 racks. I believe, again, it's been a little bit, I think I can get 15 quarts in this one. And then we have our water bath canner. This is an Amish canner from Layman's, but I got it on Amazon. I'll link that for you, and if I'm really on top of things, I'll try to have it pop up during the video. But if not, it'll be linked down in the description of this video. And I've used this a good bit also. Again, yeah, we 2025, that's right. Okay, so here we are. Doing it. Let's see. No surprises in there. And I totally forget. Okay, this has a rack. Oh yes, okay. This also, I can layer them. So we will set those over there. And I'll probably just go ahead and get these with water. Although, I forget right now. I've got to go look at my notes here, look a few things up on how much water in both, but we'll get it. Okay, I just feel better, you know, making sure things are wiped down on the outside first. Alrighty, so my rings have been waiting their whole lives for this, like a lot of canners. I've got baskets of rings, I've got drawers of rings. It's like Forrest Gump, you know, ring salad, ring kebabs, ha ha. We've got all the rings. So I'm just gonna pull a bunch out, trying to set us up our little station so I can do. I was reading about that layman's canner because again, I haven't used that since doing jam. And that jam I think was winter 24. And I know I used the other rack to do layers of pints. I don't think I can do layers of quarts, although looking at it, it looks deep enough. We'll figure that out. There's lots of little things to remember here. But I can at least do 15 quarts. Now the thing with the water bath canner is it takes longer. Although with the pressure canner, it's less of a pressure time. However, it's gotta come up to pressure and then come down in pressure before you can open it. So sometimes I feel like these are 6 one way, half dozen another. I just looked up my elevation. I'm a little over 1,000 feet. It's like 1,030. And whenever you go to the National Center of Food Preservation for canning directions, it'll have your processing time. That's what this means. This hand motion this evening means processing times. You'll have your processing times based on your elevation. So that is nice. I did throw my lids, what's their name? The 4 jars lids in the dishwasher. And I have some ball lids here that haven't been used either. That's okay. I'm just going after the regular rings right now. And I am. It's like 6 o'clock when I'm finally getting going with this. But look, we've been to the Children's Museum. We've been to the playground. We went to our appointments. We did our things. Folks did laundry, got towels put away. Mom has done work things. In between all that, got another video published today. Doing pretty well with getting a video published every other day in August, which is my goal to get back up to that speed here on this channel. So I've been doing okay with that. So what I'm thinking, you know, we don't do no all-night cooking, right? But dealing with these canners, let's talk goals. My goal is get these canners going, right? So if that's 15 and 15, well, that's 30. So really, if we run both of these with 30-ish, I don't think we're gonna have a second load with another 30, but we'll have a second load, right? So we need to run these twice. And once I get things rocking and rolling, at some point this evening, I'm gonna get a run in. I just am. So we gotta do that too. Okay, I think we got a pretty good situation set up here. Okay, I looked up, I got my pressure canner manual on my phone. This is the 941 model. I keep saying 45 quarts. It's 41, like 41.5 quarts. And it says it holds 19 quart jars. So that will go pretty far. I was just going over a few things. So on my All-American 41 quart canner, we are gonna hot pack those jars. We will do a processing time of 15 minutes for quarts, and I'm above 1,000 feet elevation, so it'll be the 15 pounds. And then, let's see here. For the boiling water canner, I'm right here between the 1,001 and 3,000, so it will go for 45 minutes in that process. And for the acidity, we're gonna add lemon juice. It says see acidification directions. So we're going to go over here. You can use lemon juice, citric acid, or 5% vinegar. We're doing quarts, so we will do 2 tablespoons in each quart. And then we will do a teaspoon of salt per quart in the jars. And then this says to leave 1/4 of an inch headspace. Alrighty, whew, big flaming thing of sauce. I think I'll just set that there for now. Also, how prepared are we? My ladle I got for canning things such as sauce. I do have my big boat oar to strain this. So, again, a few last workflow things. Some of it we're gonna figure out as we're doing it. No, not sure. We'll get there. We sure will. Just might put some jars on here. Okay. Sauce into the jar. Lemon juice, salt. We'll need our funnel. And we have our jar lifters. Go ahead and put some vinegar on this. Nice. Okay, various washcloth picker-uppers. That more workflows will come later once we get into this. So these have been a-going, and they're hot, and this is hot, and you can see it's a very beautiful sauce, and it is thinner than my thick sauce that I did. I'm proud of us. Pretty good. And I hear my canners over there. Of course, this won't fit on the side here. I'll probably get one more thing. Okay, yeah, pretty good. Pretty good here. And I'm getting my hot jars from the dishwasher. That worked out beautifully. Again, dishwashers have been working a whole year now. That's amazing. That was another funny thing I had to deal with in summer 24 that just made some things difficult. So anyway, now I can put cases of jars in the dishwasher and wash those through again and heat them up. And so I am adding my salt and I am adding my lemon juice. And I am again following the directions from the National Center for Food Preservation for home canning their basic tomato sauce. They also say to leave a 1/4 inch headspace. So that's what I am measuring there. And I used to have like chopsticks or other little wooden sticks that I could use to stir things up and basically get any bubbles that are in the canned item, about to be canned item, to come up, which you always want to do. I had a bubble popper proper canning tool as well, and I just can't find that. So I take this rubber, it's thin compared to my other spatulas, and that's the only thing I can find that's long enough that I can spin it around and get the little bubbles to come up, because you want to get those out before you can. And we got our first jar in. It took a day and a half of work, but we did it. We are here. And really this was some good workflows. This was a low pressure project for me. Felt good getting it done. I just take it step by step, just like a recipe, right? And we work through the process, and now it's just going to be the process of, again, now we're going to measure our headspace. I'm going to get out what bubbles I can. And then from there, I'm going to wipe my rim with my little vinegar and get my ring on, get my lid on, and we're doing it. Back in the canner. And I'm trying to put my lemon juice and my salt in first, so we don't forget those. That's helpful. I didn't have any particularly labeled canning salt. I am using my Redmond salt, but I read an article over on the Redmond salt site by Jill from the Prairie Homestead, and she says that she uses Redmond salt in her canning, and they explain the science behind it, and I thought that's good enough for me, because on the Center for National Food Preservation, they said you could can your basic homemade tomato sauce with or without salt. It was not required either way, but what was required is the lemon juice. And so and besides lemon juice, they also give some other items you could use instead. I believe it was citric acid or even vinegar. But of course, they said with the vinegar, that's going to majorly affect the flavor. And I've used a lot of lemon juice in canning. And Walmart delivery is my next best friend. And so I had them bring me over some bottles of lemon juice. And I believe we end up going through 2 bottles through all the canning that we do. And we just go through our process and our steps again and again and again. And so I told you all I was going to tell you my canning history. So in 2009, I got my first canner. I got it at Walmart, and I got the Ball Book of Canning that was available in 2009. They have different edition numbers. I'm not sure what edition it was, but it gave me all the basics on getting started canning. And we had some orchards around us where the original 1915 farmhouse was. And I remember I got a good deal on a bushel of peaches, and I thought this is good enough to start. And so I started by reading those directions. The National Center for Food Preservation was probably online at that time, but I was just using the actual hard copy book. And then from there, I also went on to can pickles, and I also did some basic jams. And that's as far as I got with canning at the farmhouse. At the farmhouse, I was able to grow a huge garden many, many summers, and I always thought of canning that produce, but really we went through it, and we would have summers where the garden would be prolific, where I would give squash and zucchini away, or we would be eating through it quickly. And then I would have summers where not everything would be fantastic, but it was just enough. So I wish back then, I say this all the time, I wish I would have had someone like Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead there to hold my hand through the learning the canning process. But that's back when I had 4 of my children were ages 5 and under. Yeah, that's where my 4 youngest were ages 5 and under. They were like 5, 4, 2, and 1, or 4, 3, 1, and newborn. Plus I had 3 older age 5 kids. And so I was definitely busy, lots of walking the field together. Got lots of cute pictures of my babies on pumpkins. And that's back when I started to roast my pumpkins in my oven and make homemade pumpkin pie and other recipes using our own homegrown pumpkins and our own cooked pumpkins, and going from there. Also, that's back when I bought my first flock of chickens for $75. That included fencing and the coop. Isn't that amazing? And I had 3 mean roosters in that batch. And when I was pregnant with my baby, who was born in 2011, we got to do the timelines. That means in probably fall 2010, I had these 3 mean roosters that were attacking the kids and flying onto the side of the house and crashing into things. And I couldn't give them away. And so I wanted to have the confidence to be able to butcher a chicken if I needed to. And I wanted to know if I needed to raise and butcher a chicken to feed my children, I could do it. At that point, I'd only been raising chickens for eggs and entertainment for my kids. It was so fun to have our first flock of chickens there. And I butchered those 3 mean roosters. I Googled how to butcher a chicken the easy way, and I found a blog from a woman that I have followed for many years, and I still follow her over on IG. I'll try to put the directions if her blog is still up, but she had step-by-step on how her and her family butchered their chickens. And I appreciated that, and I just followed it step by step, barefoot and pregnant and by myself. I was pregnant with my 5th baby, and I took care of those roosters, and I processed the meat and I did the thing, and I went to bed hurting, hurting. And I remember like smelling the chicken feathers in my nose, for a few days, but I did it. I did the thing. I proved to myself that I could do it. And again, that was the same season where I had started canning and started trying to figure that out. Now, what happened in my life not long after that, about 2012, I really got into my hobby of blogging. And I really started to try to figure out, I loved my little homeschool mom blog so much. I really was trying to figure out how in the world could I make enough money to double my grocery budget while doing this hobby that I love so much. So whole series of events, and I'll link the videos down in the description below. I've shared that story many times, and I also share it in great detail, plus my free YouTuber training on how I've gone from blogging way back in the day, I'm an old school blogger, all the way to making an even bigger full-time business through my YouTube channel. And how much that has blessed my family in so many seasons. I have been the full-time income earner for my household for well over a decade. And even now in this new universe that I live in, I'm still able to make a full-time income. I still have a handful of other moms who still work for me and help me behind the scenes in my business from home. I have some different ladies who are video editors for me these days, also help me moderate my comments. When you all comment, I always personally read the comments and answer you, but before the comments see the light of day, I know sometimes you say, I'll get comments that say things like, I've left a comment twice and I don't see it. Well, that's because one of the ladies that helps me behind the scenes, and it's so good for my mental health, the comments are held, and she reads them all first. And if someone is being unkind and telling me things, my brain doesn't need the extra layer to process. She is a buffer for me. And I know many other full-time YouTuber moms who have their husbands or other family members or other friends moderate their comments first, because there is a lot going on here, just with being public and being a full-time YouTuber. And so my free full-time YouTuber masterclass, I teach about growing a full-time YouTube business as a real-life mom in many different seasons. And I'm so thankful now in 2025, again, my life imploded like a lot of other human lives implode at times. You just don't know. You don't see it coming. You never thought it would be you. I know that's definitely my story. And I have learned a lot of things, and I've had a lot of wild experiences. And so through it all, I'm very thankful I grew my business ahead of time. I'm thankful that I have templates and I have systems, and even when my life blew up, I have a right-hand personal assistant who's probably worked for me and helped me the last 7 or 8 years in so many things. She started for me just handling basic Facebook comments, and over the years, she wanted more tasks. She's grown in her task, and now she's one of my right arms, and I appreciate her so much. And when my life imploded, there were several things she could take over. Now, the biggest thing though, the biggest part of my business is actually making videos. And it's my mega mama face here doing these projects. And that is not anything anyone else can do. And that alone is a super mega full-time job. But I am just saying that I'm thankful that I grew my business as well as I could grow it before the unexpected happened. And that now, finally, summer 2025, I think I'm back. And I say that so very gently, because our bodies don't always agree. And some things can just take our mind and our heart and our bodies longer than we think they should, right? But I really think I'm getting back to a good rhythm and a good capacity that I had basically until mid-2023, when, again, I woke up in an alternate universe, haha. That's just the best way that I can describe it. But we're here and we're doing it, and we're canning our tomato sauce in 2025. made a good dent in that sauce. I know it's a wind tunnel in here. So I have my stove fan on its highest setting to help pull some of the heat out. Got my little window unit air conditioner going. We've got so many canners and so many roasters still going, but we are going through the process, and I'm also eating some cucumber slices and some mashed avocado, continuing to set up my mass processing station here where I do 4 to 6 jars at a time. And yes, feed the mom, right? And I go through and I put in my salt and my lemon juice and then fill each jar with tomato sauce. And then I work through getting out the bubbles that I can. We check the headspace, we wipe off the rim, and then we add our lids and we add our rings and we get them into the canners. I have my Amish canner going. Oh yes, and I just remembered I need some vinegar in the water, so I remembered that with my pressure canner, but I did forget that with my first batch in the Amish canner, doing the water bath canning of the tomato sauce. Now, you don't have to add vinegar to the water, but if you don't, you end up with some white mess, like some sediment over your jars, and that's not great either. So if you just put a little dash of vinegar in the water, it helps cut that down. Many times I don't have to necessarily wipe my jars down at all, but if I have the time, I will. And then, of course, I really pay for it when I don't add the vinegar in. And then I do have to very aggressively wipe my jars down, and that all works out. Now, whenever I pull my jars out of the canners, whenever we get to the end of this project, I will let them cool until the next day with the rings on. And then I take the rings off and we check all the seals. I will wipe the jars down as needed, and we will label the jars and date them. And I store them without the rings on them because I don't want there to be a false seal. If a jar didn't really seal properly, many times it's okay. It's still a product that I can put in the refrigerator and use quickly, just not something that's going to be on my canning shelves for the next 12 to 18 months. And you know, sometimes with me, it's only 6 or 7 months. And continuing with my canning history, then here on YouTube in 2020, I mean, that was the time to try all kinds of new adventures. I tried to get a big garden going here at this new property almost 6 years ago. Isn't that wild? All the heavy tree cover. This was not the property to start a garden on, but still I thought I had one clear spot and I gave it a go. But despite my garden failures, we did have some canning successes in 2020. That was the first time I took the time to home can ground beef. We also home canned sausage and we home canned stew meat. And I got to experience the convenience of having those meats canned and ready to go. And then after this kitchen was finished in 2022, we did a slew of canning projects. We home canned potatoes, we home canned applesauce. I had done applesauce many times as far as making it homemade and doing it on the stovetop or the slow cooker, but I hadn't actually home canned it. So we did that. That was exciting. We home canned corn, which I used in many things for the next year. We home canned carrots. So I home canned a lot of individual components, and many of those were produce deals that I got at my local John Henry General store. So even though my garden wasn't growing fantastic, the deals were fantastic and allowed me to keep on home canning, which I greatly appreciate. And we just continued our projects all the way until spring 2023. And then from there, we've done a few more, and I'm excited to do even more in the future. I'm also excited for you guys to tell me, help me make my canning list. Again, yes, I'm going to drink a Zevia. That's that. I think it's a strawberry lemon burst flavor, and that has just been absolutely delicious here lately. So I have been enjoying a few of those during this big cooking project. I drink a lot of water, and of course in the morning, I drink coffee. And if I'm traveling, I hit those iced coffees. I usually get 1 to 2 iced coffees a day if I'm on a travel adventure, because it just seems so necessary and fun and like a real special treat. So on any given day, I hit my water throughout the day. But yeah, the kitchen's hot, I'm hot, it's getting to evening. We are working on pulling together this huge processing of over 4 bushels of discounted produce tomatoes. And so, yeah, I ordered some Zevias in my Walmart delivery order when I ordered my lemon juice, priorities, and that is my treat for this canning evening.
When the storm is moving in, the sky goes dark and you feel the wind. Too much weight just holds you down, waiting for the calm to come around. And you harbor all your tears, your disbeliefs and fears.
All right, first layer in there filled. Now we're gonna put this other rack in. And whoop, 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 steam up the camera and get another layer going. Here we go, better view. Goodness, I'm so tired, and it's 8:15 p.m. Ready for bed. Okay, water bath dinner timer. So we are coming to almost having this next batch in the big pressure cooker ready and loaded. We are getting tired, but we are also feeling accomplished in getting this far. And I see over on the right, the light blinking on my dishwasher. Someone had asked me what that meant, and I forget what all the bells and whistles mean. They're just low-end models, but again, they've worked for a year, so they win. I had been getting my jars hot in the dishwasher, Probably just don't have it closed all the way there. But I do see the blinking. It's not going to explode, so that's good. But it is saying, hey, look at me. I probably just need to push my door closed there. But that's okay, because we are getting through it, and we almost have enough for another canner load, and that is exciting. In my All-American Canner Model 941, it holds up to 19 quarts at a time, which is phenomenal. I know I was calling it a 45-quart canner. I believe it's only a 41-quart canner, but it holds the jars, and I love it. I have used several of the Presto home canners. I like those as well. This giant All-American one lets me do 2 loads on top of one another, and I like that too. Okay, we're at 307, and looky there, we did it. The whole pressure canner is loaded, and I'm showing you my model number is model 941. Now it does say, because this type of pressure canner, it's metal on metal, and it says to lubricate the inside of, or the outside of the metal ring there for the seal. It's in the All-American pressure canner directions. I can't pull all the rhymes or reasons, but I do read directions and try to follow them, unless I'm doing my own butter math. And then you know I like to turn cups into sticks. We do that too. But when it comes to canning, I read the All-American Canner book. Also, when I'm using my Presto pressure canners, I use those canning books. And here I'm showing you how there's an arrow, not an error, no errors please, arrow on the giant canning lid that I line up with a little triangle groove on the lid of the canner there. And then I go through, once those are lined up, I turn the lid so it's one level of locking. And then for these wing nuts, I go around and I loosely tighten them in a back and forth fashion. Don't tighten them down all the way quite yet. And sometimes I have to unscrew them a little bit to then get a long enough stem to put it up through the hole, and then tighten the wing nuts down. But in the All-American Canner book, it says that you go back and forth in a pattern like that to get them all tightened down. And then once they all are tightened about a medium strength, then I go through and tighten them the rest of the way per the directions. And you can see my dishes lining up there around our counters, but that is okay. That is okay. Also all part of the process, right? And now I need to let my canner get up to where it is venting. It vents per the directions for so many minutes. Not looking at my directions at this moment, I believe it's 10 minutes. It vents. Once it hits that venting time, I then put the weight on with the amounts of pressure that I need for my elevation, and then that weight has to start jiggling. And once it jiggles, it has to jiggle for the specified amount of time per the directions on the Center for Food Home Preservation. And if it stops at any point, I need to restart my timer. Super loud in here in the wind tunnel. Big canner just started venting, if you can hear me in New Zealand. So I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and then we'll put the weight on. And I think we'll be able to do probably one more load of the water bath canner is what I'm thinking. And I want to reheat roasted potatoes. I'm really hungry, so there's that. And so in the wind tunnel, we are now getting these beautiful bright red jars out of the water bath canner, and I followed the water bath canning times also for the basic tomato sauce recipe on and the directions on the American Center for Food Preservation. And so this turned out lovely, and we are going to get another water bath canning load going as well. And we also get another big batch going in the All-American 941 model All-American canner. So I like when I can get different canners going, and it speeds up the process. This stove really helps make it possible. Now, I have canned on glass top stoves. You know, your mileage may vary. Some say it's okay and they've done it. Some say, hey, don't do it. So read up on that. I have also canned on my original little 1963 push button coil stove top. And I also have canned on my original 1963 coil stove top that came in this house. I've canned many batches in my Presto canners. Over on that one, I did not have this big All-American or this big Amish canner when I was using that stove top. Those came whenever I got this big Z-line stove. And this stove top has been wonderful and allowed me to do some of these bigger projects in bigger batches. Okay, it's way later than I normally eat. I'm going to talk loud because I'm like, wait a minute, do I have a timer on my microwave? I get confused easily the later it gets. It's 9:14. This timer is about to go off for that canner venting. This microwave is about to go off for my potatoes and chicken, but if you can hear me, I got into those double butter low carb cheesecake brownies that we did this past weekend. They're so good. They're so good. So I'm gonna have another one. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't care that it's after 9. It's a wild night. And on this wild night, it is now time to get the weight on the canner. I'm not using the pressure gauge at all since I am using the weight. I go by that, and you can look into your different options for your canners. That seemed to be the best way to utilize this big canner. And now my roaster ovens, I got my original roaster oven from Walmart, but I have since ordered these roaster ovens through Amazon. Much of my headspace measuring tool and my jar lifters and some of those things. My local Walmart usually has a pretty good selection of getting started canning items, and this year they usually have a good selection of jars. You know, in some years, like in 2020, it was hard to get jars. I had to order them, and even then it was hard to order them. But right now, currently, summer 2025, you can get jars, and it's good to get a decent collection of them if you think that you do want to start canning. And that little magnet topper has helped get my little jars separated, and getting those onto my jars for this evening helps me grab them and not get all stuck together there. So everything looks like it fared fairly well. This water bath canner is rolling, boiling. It's been doing it almost 45 minutes. I think it's got about 5 minutes left. That's on my phone timer. But this one lid is, whew, let me grab something here to spin it. But you can probably see that in the light. I set it over here. I could tell something happened somewhere. And this one, just the lid did not seal right, and there's some odd pressure. And so I can still use this. I'll just need to let it cool and put it in the refrigerator. It won't be, shelf stable for a nice amount of time. These from the pressure canner I'll need to wipe down anyway to clean up that mess. And these from the first water bath canner load before I remember to put the vinegar on there. I'll need to wipe them down too. So basically, everything will need wiped off tomorrow. And of course, labeled and have the lids removed and check the seals. I could end up with a few that don't have lids that seal, and they'll go with this jar in the fridge. And then, hey, look, we got tomato sauce coming up. I will have canning loads where it may be one or two oddities that don't seal right. I'll have canner loads where I might have a glass jar break. I'll have canner loads where nothing goes wrong. So anyway, we just do the best we can, but we do have about 13 more quarts. So too late for me to count jars. We will count tomorrow. Friends, quick math. I believe we have 46. We're gonna count again tomorrow though, but pretty sure we have 46, 47, counting that one, and then we got like half a quart, 3/4 of a quart in the fridge. But very beautiful. We did it. Tomorrow we'll clean and label and count with fresh brains as well. Well, good friends, we made it through that canning last night. I'm gonna find us some vinegar. We are gonna clean off the tops of those jars, and I'm gonna count them, you know, this evening with a fresh brain, and we're gonna label them. And don't know why my butter container's there. This needs to be washed. This will make it down to the sink. Excuse me while I organize my kitchen for a minute, but you know, we had such a late night out here, and I had appointments today, took my elementary guys to the library and the playground and the summer ice cream cups, did our activities and things, and now that it is evening again, I can work on these jars. I have gotten some messages already when I shared a picture last night on Instagram from some other ladies who've been working through tomatoes as well, and I think we did pretty good. I do have some tops to clean off today. And I will just do that. Actually, I'm probably just gonna wipe down every jar really quick with vinegar. Either the tops or, well, okay. I'm like workflow always. Rings off. Rings off. That looks nice and sealed. 1, 2, 3, 4. They do look beautiful. Of course, I've got, it looks like the first batch of sauce, it's just a lighter red. And these other 2 roasters was a darker red. I might have had to heat up a little more on those. Who could know it? But it's always a good time to check your seal when you take the rings off. So there is just so much caked on just a few of these jars. I'm just gonna pour some straight vinegar just right on the top and let it sit for a few minutes to break that up. No point scrubbing yet, just do a nice little vinegar soak there. It's like 5 of them that pretty well caked from our one jar with the dented lid, and vinegar is really good at breaking stuff up. Normally, just a little vinegar on a washcloth, wipe down the lids if they need it, wipe down the outside of the jars, like that first canner load where I, if I can get a grip here, where I forgot to put a little splash of vinegar in there. That just keeps the build up. Sorry, some of these are pretty. My hand's a little wet now, but I have clean towels in my drawer, so practically a whole new woman, right? Got it? Okay. And then these rings, we will wash those. So yeah, I'm just gonna let those soak. The lids themselves seem sealed just fine. They will just sit there for 2 to 3 minutes, I would say, but I might end up leaving them there 15 minutes or more. So I get talking and doing things. Give that one just a little. We're going to continue to go through now and take the rings off. Not all of them need wash, just the ones that have a little bit of sauce on there from that one jar that didn't do so well, but we still put that in the refrigerator. And actually, I had some of my folks use that to make some pizza sauce the following day. So that was fun using up the things that we have. And as I'm taking the rings off, I just also work on eyeballing and checking the seals. And I'm going to wipe off each jar. And then we are going to go through and label each jar. Right there, I'm just soaking off the extra vinegar that was sitting on those other lids to just break up that buildup. Vinegar really does help break things down like that. All kinds of spills and crusty thing adventures. I know at my farmhouse we had hard water and a lot of calcium that built up around the faucets. And I would just soak a little napkin in vinegar and that would help break that up. That worked wonderful for the water there. That's just a little kitchen cleaning tip and water buildup tip that has helped me over the years. I haven't done this in recent years, but for well over a decade, so I can still say it's something that we've done. I would put a little bit of vinegar in an iron spray bottle, one that you would use for ironing, a plastic spray bottle. Choose your own adventure, choose your own spray bottle from Walmart, but those are like 99 cents. Little vinegar and some water, and we would use that for counter and tabletop cleaning. That was also very helpful. Alrighty, we got everything cleaned off. And then these have soaked for a few minutes, so I can wipe those off. And now we are going through and I am just writing tomato sauce 2025 because it is a big victory on top of every lid. And I have wiped down, you helped me, we wiped down every jar. We end up with right around 46 quarts. And then I have my 2 teenage guys put these jars 12 at a time into the canning boxes. You all told me many years, save those canning boxes to haul my jars around, and that is definitely what we do. And so they will haul those downstairs to my canning shelves, and now we have beautiful home canned tomato sauce. The recipe that I used and other tips and tricks of tomato canning and videos I have watched, along with my 2023 processing the 380 pounds of tomatoes. All of those will be linked down in the description below. I will say for my 2023 attempt, I stayed up all night. I know one night, I think that was a 3 to 4 day canning process. And by the end, my back hurt, everything hurt. For this canning, we really broke it down sensible. Again, who are we? The day before, we processed the tomatoes, we made the sauce, And then the next day, we actually canned the sauce in the afternoon and evening. Now, I was up that second day until about midnight, but I didn't get started until about 4 or 5. I had my younger guys out, and we had things going on during the day. So I came home in the evening, and hey, Jamerrill, how do you get these projects done? Well, my younger elementary kids, they were good and worn down from a day of fun. So I was able to do some canning projects in the kitchen that evening, but I didn't get to bed until about midnight. The next day I was able to sleep in a little bit, and then I did the last steps of wiping down the jars, labeling the lids, making sure I found, of course, only one jar that didn't seal properly, and that was just a fluke. You know, we get flukes once in a while, and only losing one jar, I mean, none broke. We asked a lot of these tomatoes, and they sure delivered, didn't they? Thank you, friends, so much for tackling these 2025 tomatoes. I don't know that we'll get to more tomatoes in 2025. Again, you're going to help me make my fall canning project list. I would love to hear from you. I'm thinking getting the broth done, and I'm thinking apples. And then I'm thinking, what's next? And even with doing meals and soups, what are some of your favorites? Let's figure this list out together. And even if we tackle, I'm super hopeful right now. I'm saying 1 to 2 canning projects a month. Could we do it? I don't know. We've been doing these Blackstone videos, right? I think I have filmed 6 Blackstone videos, just doing 1 a week. And I've been getting some gigantic meal prep videos done, and we got tomatoes canned. So I'm pretty much a new excited woman. Alrighty, so I've at least got this pan of tomato sauce labeled. Made it this far on this pan, and my marker would like a break, so I will get back to this side. Official number in with the fresh brain is 46 quarts of homemade home canned tomato sauce. We did it. Thank you so much for being here with me again. So many thank yous for being here and encouraging me, and for your support and your understanding, and hanging out with me and listening to me and doing projects and holding my to-do list. And I love this for us, right? I'll see you real soon with another brand new video. Again, all the links will be in the description, and I'll see you real soon, and I'll chat with you in those comments below. Bye-bye.